Hello and welcome to Valuechain News. I am Naomi Oleribe. First, the headlines. Nigeria's oil revenue dips. NCDMB to sanction companies for non-compliance with HCD guidelines. World Bank predicts decline in Nigeria's economic growth. And now, the news in detail. Despite the steady rise in crude oil price, the country's earnings from the commodity dropped for the fourth month. This was contained in the Central Bank of Nigeria's latest monthly economic report for January 2022. According to the CBN data, the country earned 945 billion naira in January, representing 7.8% less than the 1.24 trillion naira budgeted for the period. A breakdown of the components of oil revenue showed that no revenue accrued from crude oil and gas exports in January, the second straight month the government has earned nothing from such a major income source. According to the data, revenues from petroleum profit tax and royalties, which forms the bulk of oil revenue, declined by 31% to 247 billion naira compared to 360 billion naira the previous month, and was also below the monthly target of 277 billion naira. According to the National Operations Controller, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, Mike Osatuyi, the dip in oil revenue does not come to him as a surprise, explaining that any country paying so much for subsidy should not expect to take full advantage of the galloping price of crude in the international market. The Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, says it will sanction companies that default or fail to comply with the human capacity development provisions contained in the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act. The Executive Secretary, NCDMB, Engineer Simbi Wabote, made this known on Tuesday while delivering a keynote address at the second edition of the Virtual Stakeholders Workshop for Human Capacity Development in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. Speaking on the topic, human capacity development, the pillar for Nigeria's industrialization, the NCDMB boss warned that the board would enforce periodic forensic audits for HCD programs and companies found violating the NOGICD Act 2010 and the ministerial regulations in executing cost-intensive capacity development initiatives as mandated by the Act would be sanctioned. He added that the board is mandated to ensure that the industry derives maximum benefits from huge investments and also ensure beneficiaries of the HCD training programs find gainful employment in the industry. The World Bank Global Economic Prospects has predicted that production challenges in Nigeria's oil sector will persist and affect growth. The report released in Washington, D.C., the United States, yesterday stated that the country's growth is projected to edge up to 3.4% in 2022, but will soften to 3.2% in 2023 and 2024. The report, titled "Stagflation Risks Rises Amid Sharp Slowdown in Growth," adds that stronger growth this year reflects support from elevated oil prices, recovery in agriculture and manufacturing, and structural reforms such as the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. Production challenges in the oil sector are expected to persist, weighing on growth. A recovery in non-oil sectors is envisioned to continue, although shortages of fuel and higher food prices would restrain growth. The report also adds that although forecasts for 2022 and 2023 have been unchanged for Nigeria, Angola and South Africa, regional growth has been revised down by 0.4 percentage points this year. Kenya is currently seeking to dominate in the supply of liquefied petroleum gas (LPG) by constructing the biggest import and storage gas facility in Mombasa and licensing more private companies to compete with Tanzania, which has dominated the business for years in the region. The announcement to construct a 25,000-ton storage facility by the Kenya Pipeline Company (KPC), which will connect to the 42 billion Kenyan shillings new Kipevu Oil Terminal 2 at the port of Mombasa, comes few days after Kenya banned imports of gas from Tanzania through the Namanga border. KPC has contracted a giant Pakistan firm, Petrochem Engineering Services, to design LPG import and storage facility in Mombasa as 5 private companies apply to tap into the new Kipevu Oil Terminal 2. The facility in Mombasa, when completed, will quicken the loading of cooking gas for distribution by trucks to cut demurrage costs. Four environmentally inclined organizations have initiated legal action to end support for 30 EU-backed proposed gas projects. The 4 organizations, Friends of the Earth Europe, Client Earth, Food and Water Action Europe, and CEE Bankwatch Network, said that the EU Commission has given these climate-destructive projects VIP status in contradiction to its legal obligation. According to a statement by Friends of the Earth Europe, the EU Commission draws up a list of priority energy infrastructure projects deemed beneficial to the whole bloc every other year. The Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency (NITDA), Kashifu Inwa, has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to digital literacy, which he said would in the long run bridge the global talent gap in the information communications technology sector and place the country among technology-driven nations. Inwa said this at the just concluded Nigeria-Spanish Business and Trade Forum in Madrid, Spain. Nigeria has talented youth and is blessed with one of the youngest populations in the world. By 2050, we will be the 3rd most populous nation in the world. So we are concerned about digital literacy because the world is moving towards a digital and knowledge-based economy, and there is a global talent gap in ICT. Before we end the news, here's a recap of our headlines. Nigeria's oil revenue dips. NCDMB to sanction companies for non-compliance with HCD guidelines. World Bank predicts decline in Nigeria's economic growth. And that's the news. I am Naomi Oleribe. Good evening.